Hi, welcome to Living on the Edge with Donna and Frankie. My name is Donna Feazell. This is Frankie King. Hi, Frankie. How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. I'll tell you, all excited about life. You know me, always a million things going on at the same time.
Not you.
And with you too. And speaking of which, you've been on a very exciting trip. And I've just dying. And you told me I would have to wait. So here we are. We're taping the show. So I've got to find out what you were up to. What were you doing?
Well, not because I was putting you off, but we were just so busy.
Yeah, she was putting me off. But you just got back from Nashville, and that's exciting within itself.
Yeah, I don't get out much. We had a wonderful trip.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we accomplished a whole lot. We came back with 2 new songs, and happy about them.
Well, it sounds like it was a God-planned trip. A lot of things happened out of this one, and you got to meet some very exciting folks. I know that you put music together, and everybody thinks, me included until I met Frankie, you just write a song and you're done. Well, there's a lot more to it than that.
It is so very complicated, and this trip really showed me the songwriting in itself, how complicated and meticulous that it is. It's very tedious.
It is, and songwriting is different than it used to be years ago, I think, because of the politically correct world that we live in now. Do you have to be really careful on the words you use in a song these days?
Well, I would say in gospel music maybe not as much, but I wrote a song a few years ago called Stand My Ground, and I really thought about it, how it would be received, because during that time, the Zimmerman trial, there's negative association with it, but the Bible really talks about standing our ground and not giving the devil an inch. So it's very biblical to use it, and anyway, I love the song. And
well, I just think we're seeing a trend these days. I think people are getting tired of that. I think people want to know how it is. Instructions, you want to know how it is. How do you really do something to get from point A to point B? And I think that's what makes people successful. And and that's what you do in your music. You write it how it is.
For 25 years, we've been kind of feeling our way through it. So it must be pretty complicated for us. However, there are groups that they just find that inroad and they go a quick study. That didn't happen for us. It was not meant to be that way.
Well, you've had other careers going on as well.
We have.
You've been in real estate, successful in real estate.
I have 20 years behind me in real estate, and God blessed me with that, and I'm so thankful of it. But when the door closed, it really closed. I'm not wanting to go back to it.
And then that happens in life. Sometimes you can have a bad experience, and you question God. We're all humans, and we'll question Him. Why did you let that happen to me, Lord? Well, it's like you told me once. I was going through a situation. You said, Donna, that's just a step onto something better.
Right. It is. Many times, God allows those things to happen so that we can get to the next place. And that's not easy on us, is it?
That's true. That's true.
We enter territory that we're not used to. We feel out of place. We don't know where the next door is, if a door's going to open.
That's true.
It's kind of scary.
We our show is posted on YouTube, and and as well as Facebook and other avenues as well. But sometimes we ask folks, what would you like to see in a show? And one of the things that was asked is, how do you actually get started? And you're going to walk us through a process on how you actually get started writing music.
I can tell
that's
you
what
where
the show
some
is
of
about.
The pitfalls are.
What not to do.
The number one thing I would advise is always keep your focus where it belongs. Because any kind of success, even in music that is the Lord's music, has a lot of egos involved, and I tell you, it happens to all of us. Because if you're good at something, there's always that inclination to take the glory, but the Lord said He wouldn't share His glory. So we have to always keep the focus where it belongs.
That's right. And then also, if you're humble about it, and you're living in the everyday world like the rest of us are, and you're a great example of that. Keeps you humble. And sometimes you have to go through things, because and also Frankie is the lead singer of Point of Honor, and she writes the music they have on their CDs as well. But by doing this, and I've seen you do this when you're looking out into the audience and you're performing, you look people in the eyeballs, and it's almost like, I know you don't know what they're going through, but when you sing songs, you sing music, things that you have written, people walk up to you after the show, and they tell you that, that I needed to hear that.
It seems like there is always one in the crowd that I lock onto, and maybe, like I've said before, I love to sing the slow songs. That's kind of my home. and a lot of times we'll end with something like that, and well, just the last place we sung, a lady was in tears, and she came up to me and she said, "That last song was just for me." And that is why I keep going, because it's about the people. It's about God first, and it's about the people second, and it's about me third. So I think a lot of times we lose that focus, and we start thinking about, this is about my career, this is about me moving forward, this is about me doing all the right things to make it happen. And you do have to do those things, and that's what makes it so tedious, that you have to keep your eyes on the Lord and try to glorify Him all the time, yet you've got to go through a lot of things that, for instance, getting songs on the radio, and I was so amazed at even down to the last word of how you need to craft a song so that it fits in a certain genre. That's just amazing to me. And so, do I have the answers? No, but I'm trying to find the answers, not just so I can put this together for me, but because it's all part of getting your music out to people.
And you listen to that still small voice as well. I know you do that. And you talk about different genres. How would you classify your music?
All over the board. We do a variety, and actually that was the topic of conversation yesterday. I had the most wonderful experience of getting to sit down with Dennis Deering yesterday. He's just a marvelous teddy bear of a guy that has been helping Ronnie and I, and that is something that I've kind of thought about all along, but he actually brought it up. What is your sound? What is Point of Honor sound? And but other people in gospel music have said it's an asset to have variety. So what do you think about that, Donna?
Yeah, I think that's the right answer. I really do. And I love your music, and there are times that, I can just have your CD and put it in the car, and, maybe something is not going quite right in my life, and I'll just click it in, and whatever song comes on always seems to be the right one.
Oh, that's wonderful. That just really warms my heart, because I want what we do to help people.
And you do that in your writings as well. And I've told you this before, I could be having a particular thing happening. To me, seems like the end of the world. It's really not that big of a deal, but to me it is. And everybody has an issue that comes up in their life, and they think, well, I'm the only person who is going through this. But now you've been through a lot of things, and you've written songs about it.
Right. And I think that that is, I feel like it's a spiritual thing. And it's also a therapeutic thing to have the Lord to break you and to write out of that brokenness. And actually a song that we wrote yesterday is called Broken People. And I probably never would have come up with that thought had I not gone through it myself. So I think there's a lot of writers that come from that, because we're all broken in some way.
Absolutely. And you know, whatever you've been through, somebody else has been through that as well. So you're not alone. You're not by yourself. But he sends us to minister to each other when we've been through situations.
So many times, that's the lie of the devil, to tell us and to make us feel like nobody knows what you're going through. Nobody's ever been. We think nobody's ever been through this. Well, we have. I mean, you've got brothers and sisters in Christ that have gone through the same thing, and they're all going through something. We're all going through something.
And it seems like it's the most put together people you would never dream was having an issue, because we'll cover those things up. We don't want people to know there's a problem.
Right. It's amazing to me, the people in the music business that have gone through depression and all kinds of things, eating disorders. I mean, and see, I think I'm the only one. I'm broken, and God can't use me because I'm broken. But that's the very ones that He really can use, because they can minister on a level, heart to heart, that other people who have it all, who really have it all together, or for the most part have it together.
Well, let's go on ahead and talk about the trip. You were in Nashville, and there's a particular group that you were part of. You want to talk about that as well?
I do, and I will have to ask her later if this is okay.
Do it now. Ask for forgiveness later.
That's right. About a little over 3 years ago, I went to Write About Jesus. It's in. They have it in October every year in It's close to St. Louis, Missouri, and that has opened up a whole world to me, because I've met some of the greatest people, writers that are well sought after in Nashville, and have one hit after another, Dove Awards in gospel music. And when I talk about gospel music, I'm talking about Christian country music, contemporary music, Southern gospel, all of those things. They're all up there at the convention. So any type of music you're in, you can be helped by going to Write About Jesus. It's just been an amazing experience in my life, and I got to sit down with two of the writers from there while I was in Nashville, and totally different personalities.
That's right, because there are different
totally
personalities,
different
personality types.
But both, I mean, just on a scale of 1 to 100, they were 99 or 100. It was just such a joy and such a blessing.
Well, do you have to have a particular personality to be the best songwriter, or can anybody do it? Can you use all personality traits?
No, I think that these people, to my amazement, they write all types of songs. I mean, no matter what kind of personality you have.
So if you're a person who bounces off the walls, you can write one.
Right.
If you're a person who needs to sit in a room somewhere.
I mean, the people that bounce off the walls and they have that dynamic personality, they can still write that heart-wrenching song that touches you.
They can sit still long enough.
You don't have to sit still.
You can stand up and write your song.
But it's really an amazing thing. And then the second day, I was with somebody that's more like me, more of a melancholy. You're a sanguine.
I'm a what?
You're the A-type personality. And I'm a melancholy person, and I always hated that about myself, and only the last little while could I
Oh, I don't, because to me you are so put together. I mean, you really have to know Frankie.
And see, I am not.
She is.
But I just had a wonderful time, and I'm learning so much. But to say that I've got it all together to where I can even help other people, all I can do is say what I'm going through.
Well, and I don't think you see this in yourself. When you are touring and you're in front of a group and you're singing, I see this. It's like a spiritual confidence that comes over you. I don't know if you've ever seen that. Has anybody ever told you that? Because I see that. It's just like she's where she's supposed to be, and it seems like you're in your element when you're up there.
Well, that's I've never heard that from another person, but I do feel it because, and we've talked about this on other shows before, I used to hide under the bed when we'd have company when I was growing up. I grew up really poor, and I just was a lost child, and so I had no confidence in myself. I was shame-based, but when I get on stage to sing, there's an empowerment.
That's true. I've heard other people say that, but I can see that in you. And again, when you're up there, and the quality that I like about you is you don't look over people. When you're on the stage, you're looking right at people, right in their eyes. And I think that's what puts the closeness between you and the group.
I care about what people are going through.
That shows. I think it's looking, like your granddad used to say, look them in the eyeballs when you're talking to them. Well, you do that when you're singing as well.
I'm glad that I do.
Well, you do.
I care about what they're going through. I'm searching for faces, and we also need input. You know, when you're standing up there, it's really hard to sing if you feel like you're not touching anybody. And sometimes you don't know if you are, because we've gone to churches and really not seen a lot of interaction, and then when it's over, they would come up and say, oh, we're so glad y'all came, and you didn't know this, but, you know, and that's what makes it all worthwhile.
Well, let's talk about people who are thinking about getting into the business. You got a lot of young folks, a lot of people go into a second retirement and decide they want to do something they've always wanted to do, and that may be some type of music. So what if, and you and I are both blessed with our spouses. I know Philip and Ronnie, I mean, they support us in whatever we do, as long as it's not too out there. But they support us, but now some people don't get the support they need at home.
Right.
How can you survive? How could you make it without the support?
You would need to really get close to the Lord and draw strength from Him.
Because you can do it. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, you can still do it. And like we've said before about brokenness, He may use that very situation to bring out of you some of the best songs. And I know that probably doesn't give a lot of comfort, but out of my brokenness, I feel like I've written out of that, and I've been able to touch people. And you know, it's really all worthwhile. The brokenness is worthwhile if you can use it for God's glory. And that's what I would say. We can't control all that happens to us in this world. We're in a broken world, and you're going to have pain. Everybody's going to have pain. Everybody's going to have brokenness. But if you use that for a positive thing, then, you know, it's all okay.
Yeah, that's what it's all about anyway.
We're just here for a little while anyway.
Yeah, and sometimes you have to circle around to get to the right thing anyway. But I wanted to mention that, because, you know, a lot of people that think, well, you know, there's always something, and I think it's Satan really, that they think, I can't do anything. I am so worthless. I just can't.
He tells me the same thing on a regular basis.
And that's what he tries to do. He wants to destroy you.
He wants us to quit. And believe me, in 25 years, I've quit a numerous amount of times.
I have to.
And if God was, you know, if He told me to quit, I would quit. I really would, because I could be happy at home. I could be happy at home just doing my little thing. And for years ago, I painted. I used to do oil painting, and Ronnie bought me a set, and it's still just sitting there in the laundry room. So there's things I could do, but God has so put this in my heart, and even as a child, He's never told me to turn back. But if He did,
You're real passionate about what you do. So what do you say to somebody that they're working a dead-end job, and they can't see it going anywhere, but their gift is...
You're not going to like this.
Uh-oh. But however, they feel music. I mean, it's inside them, and they want to get it out.
They are going to need to look at the reality and pray much.
Yeah.
You do have to eat. You do have to make the house payment, the car payment. we've never had the luxury of doing it full time, so I don't know what to tell people there in their own personal experience, but we actually got to sit down with a record producer and a record label president yesterday, and the music industry is changing so much on a daily basis that it's harder now than it's ever been to make it,
to break in.
but there are always the exceptions. So I can't say, no, don't do that, don't quit your job. But for us, it's never worked. We've always had.
But be real. You know, maybe do it. Start out part-time.
Right.
You know, with your full-time job, start out, and then eventually see it the other way around.
What's happening, especially in Southern Gospel, is the supporters are over 65. You know, it's the baby boomers and up that, you know, the very oldest baby boomers maybe up that's supporting Southern Gospel. So that whole era is changing, and eventually the ones that's supporting it's going to die out.
Yeah, but things happen in cycles.
They do.
You know, what's old
so who am I to say?
is new again. I mean, it happens a lot.
All I can say is what I was told yesterday. There's things that you can do even though that there are changes going on. It's like building a house. You have to have all of these things, all these stones on the foundation. You've got to promote. And he told us you have to call churches. You have to call them and get bookings, and that's something we've never done. You have to promote nationwide if you're going to get out of your area, and you can do that by radio promotions. We also do TV, so those are some of the things that we do. We've kind of never been real strong on promotion to churches. We've just relied on the phone to ring. But I would just give the caution that it is harder now than it's ever been, and the base of Southern Gospel is shrinking. But you may be the one that can
make it happen.
You never know.
Absolutely. You know, there are all kinds of things that, and we've talked again about the spouses, you know, how important that is. But you can still make it work either way. It really doesn't matter. You know, if you've got that passion and you want to make it happen.
If the Lord has it in His will for it to happen, I would say seek the Lord.
And sometimes it's just timing. You know, because you want it to happen yesterday, and type A people do that. You want something to happen yesterday, and maybe it's just not the right timing. Maybe
I could write a book about that.
Yeah, well, I could write volumes of things like that. But then when it does happen, and you thank God for it, because what if it had happened when you wanted it?
Oh, I see that.
It could have been a mess. It could have been a mess you could have never straightened out.
Absolutely. Because
there are other circumstances as well.
And there's a song about that, right?
Yeah.
The unanswered
prayers. Yeah. And I'm going to talk to you young girls out there, okay? Because I went through this. Okay, you fall in love with some guy, you're 14, you're 15 or whatever, and you think that's the one. Wait on God to send you the right one. Because what if you married that person and it happens to be the wrong one? You know, so wait on God. Wait on God to let that happen. And it'll happen.
I could write a book about that too.
So let me ask you a question. I may have asked you this before.
I could do a whole series of books.
Well, I could write books on what not to ever do. But let's talk about this for a moment. We're talking about, you know, making things happen and that kind of thing. But not only that, but different personalities and waiting on God to let it be, and you know, writing the right music. We talked a little bit, you know, about politically correct. You know, what are words you can't use anymore, or are there words you can't use anymore? But I see this trend that has happened, and I think we saw that with the last election. Is where people they're tired of it. They're ready for real.
Right.
So could that be something that Southern Gospel music is waiting on right now? Could it be that?
You know, I've never thought of that, Donna.
Because everything happens in a cycle.
It does. And I fell in love with Southern Gospel music in the 70s, and it's a completely different thing now. I mean, there's there's still the quartet music that
Mhm.
people love, and there's still an appetite for that in certain places.
Mhm.
But I mean, it's just broadened to where there's bluegrass, there's the regular Southern gospel, there's some praise and worship type sounding, and many more. So,
But there's not any one type music, gospel music, that everybody likes.
no,
It's because everybody has rounded different personalities.
right. And bluegrass is really strong in this area.
Mhm.
So, and different pockets of the nation have different types of gospel music. It can be gospel bluegrass. We get more airplay in North Carolina and Virginia and up north.
Mhm.
So
Isn't that funny?
it is.
It really is. Not necessarily where you think it would be
Right.
as well.
They don't even know us there.
Well, Jesus had to leave out and go to another area, so
He did, and I
so
think about that a
sometimes
lot of
that's the
times.
way it is. So I think we got probably a couple minutes left in this segment. Now I wanted to mention too that I host a radio talk show. It's called Afternoon Drive Home. It's on WZCT Radio in Scottsboro, and you're going to be a guest on that show next week. It'll be on Tuesday, so I look forward to having
Can't
you
wait.
on there as
It's
well.
going to be so much fun.
We always have a lot of fun.
Well, we talk a lot.
We do.
And even when we're not doing this, we talk a lot.
We do, and it's always at the right time. But I wanted to mention this. Some of you, we have a Facebook page as well. And so I've asked, if there are topics you would like to see us cover here on our show.
Right.
And we've had quite a few. And one was about saving money. And you and I love to go to yard sales. And so someone
and thrift
asked
stores.
if that's true, if we would take you guys with us when we go on these little outings.
We can get up a
on-
whole pack and just get a van.
Let's just all go, so we can do that. So we're going to carry the camera with us sometime and do that.
It would be fun.
Health care has been mentioned. Gardening is a big topic. You and I both have a garden.
Do you
and
have
there-
a big garden?
Oh yeah, I mean as big as I can make it. Yeah, but now I raise a lot of herbs, a lot of rosemary, and God has given us these herbs. I know
Right.
there's also a topic you like to talk about, and that's Alzheimer's.
Right.
And so, we're going to bring
My
that to the
mother had
table as
Alzheimer's,
well. So
and-
we're going to bring that and talk about that as well.
Great. I did some research on it today.
Did you? Well, see how great minds work together.
Because I don't want to have it.
Yeah.
It was
And there are things we can do preventative that'll help us too. Now it's about cigarette smoke. Now we know what can happen to people later on in life, who smoked cigarettes, practically all their life. And my granddad smoked, and he had cancer. And his stomach and his lungs and his pancreas as well. So I saw the outcome of that, but I never thought I wanted to smoke much in life. My granddad was not necessarily a parable, but he knew the only way to get through my brain was to show me. And so what he did one day, he was smoking his cherry pipe. And I love to smell the cherry pipe. I just like to smell it.
Good.
So he put that in my mouth, and I'm a little kid, and I started choking. Of course, my grandmother got mad at him about it. And so I'm smoking the pipe, and I promise you, I've never, ever wanted to smoke. We're going to have to call it a day. I can't believe this. 30 minutes flies by.
We'll
Thank
end
you.
on that note.
Next time we're on the show. But if you have any questions, live.
I don't know the answer to
So
that.
it wasn't that perfect how that came out. So if you have any questions for us, if you'd like to see a particular topic, just let us know. And we're here to please you. It's all about you. And it's about serving you as well. So
That's right.
let's call it a bye.
Goodbye.
Bye, Frankie.
See you soon.
Bye, everybody.